All right, hello and welcome to MMT TV, and I'm here today with Dan Pink, the author of 3 best-selling books, Drive, Whole New Mind, and To Sell is Human. And these have been 3 controversial books, and in your past life, you were even a lawyer.
Sort of. I went to law school. I actually never practiced law. They wouldn't let me.
They wouldn't let you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they let you?
Oh, I wasn't really cut out for it.
Okay. But now you've become an author, a writer. And how did you get started as an author?
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, Shaun, I went to law school. Instead of practicing law, I ended up working in politics. When I worked in politics, I did a lot of economic policy and eventually, through no fault of my own, became a speechwriter. And so I was a political speechwriter for a while. And then I couldn't stand doing that anymore. I couldn't stand working in politics anymore. And what I really realized that I wanted to do was write under my own byline, write my own stuff, which I'd been doing kind of on the side for years and years and years and years and years, but never really, pulled the trigger and said, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And so that was about 16 years ago. I went out, I went out on my own to try to write my own stuff because I was, the things that I was most interested in were business and work and technology, and I thought a lot was going on in that realm. And as I said, that was 16 years ago, and that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. So why are you so interested in researching and writing about human behavior?
Oh, because I'm just endlessly interested in human beings. They're crazy creatures, these human beings, and I'm particularly interested in seeing human beings at work. If there's any theme that unites all 5 of my books, it is work. I've been endlessly fascinated by people's work. I still am, and to me, we spend, certainly your audience of entrepreneurs, Shaun, spends well over half of their waking hours at work, and so it becomes this incredible venue, this incredible place where we can see human interaction. We can see why people work, how they interact with others, how teams work, how organizations go awry, what gives people meaning at work, what frustrates people at work. And it's just work ends up being a really great lens through which to understand, I think, what makes human beings tick.
Because that's most of our life, work.
Well, it's a big chunk of our waking hours. I mean, if you think about it, you sleep 8 hours a day, that's 16 hours left. If you work for 8 hours, that's half of your waking hours right there. And that's not, and entrepreneurs, I'm sure it's way more than that.
Yeah, it can certainly be a lot more than 40 hours a week. So your latest book is on sales and non-sales selling.
Right.
And appropriately titled To Sell is Human.
Yes.
So why did you write To Sell is Human?
Well, a few years ago, I wrote another book called Drive, and that book talks about the science of motivation. And one of the things in that book, one of the takeaways in that book, one of the conceptual takeaways, at least in that book, is that the certain kind of motivator that we use in organizations, what I call an if-then motivator, as in if you do this, then you get that, are really effective for simple mechanical tasks, but far less effective for more complex creative tasks. And to some readers, that raised the question, which is that aren't sales commissions the classic kind of if-then reward, the classic kind of controlling contingent reward? If you sell something, then you get paid. If you don't sell something, you don't get paid. And that took me into the world of sales. Having written about business, as I said, for 2 decades, I never written anything about sales. I started looking into it and found that it was this endlessly fascinating subject, and that a lot of us, myself included, were doing much more of it than we realized.
Yeah, well, you had this term non-sales selling, and that almost all of us are engaged in it all the time.
Right.
So what is non-sales selling?
Sure. I mean, it's basically, if you look at it, let's just take a step out. We have in this country 1 in 9 people who work in sales. That is, their job is to get someone else to make a purchase. They're selling real estate or office furniture or electronics, whatever. But those other 8 and 9 I've found, they're in sales too. That is, I did some research in this book showing that those folks are spending a lot of their time, exactly as you say, in this thing called non-sales selling. That is, they are persuading, influencing, convincing, cajoling people to make some kind of exchange, to give up what they have in exchange for what we have. Now, what's interesting about this is that it's sales it's kind of sort of like sales in that there's an exchange going on. there's a negotiation of sort, there's an exchange, people are trying to find common ground. But what gives it the twist is that no money's changing hands, the cash register is not ringing, and the way that this transaction is denominated is not in dollars, but in time, attention, effort, commitment, and those kinds of things. And so what we have is about 1 out of 9 people in sales, and the rest of us in non-sales selling, leading inevitably to the conclusion that, hey, I don't care whether we like it or not, we're all in sales in some fashion today.
All right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to like, share, and comment below. Subscribe to this channel for more interviews, and if you want to go further and be live on the interviews, you can go to mmt.tv/live to find out how. Like on Facebook and follow on Twitter to ask your questions, and be sure to get on the mailing list. Go to mmt.tv to get access to all the things that are not contained in these interviews. All the links are mentioned below, and until next time, break the rules, change the game, and be a rock star.